There are moments in life when you stand still, feeling like you're missing something crucial. Like happiness is this elusive goal that everyone else seems to have figured out, except you. But what if I told you that happiness isn't about having all the answers or making the perfect choices? It's about avoiding the wrong ones. Because the truth is, the mistakes we make are often the very things that block us from finding joy. Today, we're diving deep into the 3 life-altering mistakes that almost everyone makes. These mistakes are subtle, sneaky even, but they can trap you in a cycle of dissatisfaction, no matter how hard you work, no matter how much you achieve. It's time to break free, and it all starts by recognizing these mistakes for what they are: roadblocks to your happiness. Mistake number 1, trying to be someone you're not. It sounds obvious, right? But let me ask you this. How many times have you made decisions based on what you thought others expected from you? How many of your goals, your daily choices, are actually yours? Or are they borrowed from someone else? The world we live in constantly pushes us to mold ourselves into someone else's ideal. Social media tells us what we should wear, how we should look, and even how we should think. We start measuring our worth by comparing ourselves to these curated, unrealistic standards. But here's the harsh truth. No matter how much you try to be someone you're not, you will always feel a disconnect, a void. Here's why this mistake is so damaging. When you try to live up to someone else's idea of success, happiness, or perfection, you end up rejecting the most important part of yourself, your uniqueness. The parts of you that don't fit into the mold, the quirks, the imperfections, these are not flaws. They are your strengths. The solution? Stop asking, "What will they think of me?" and start asking, "What do I think of me?" Because the day you stop pretending to be someone else is the day you start becoming the person you were truly meant to be. Mistake number 2, focusing on what you don't have. This one might just be the biggest trap of modern life. It's so easy to get caught up in the things we lack, whether it's money, success, recognition, or even love. The more you focus on what you don't have, the more you feed into a cycle of frustration, jealousy, and dissatisfaction. Imagine this. You're sitting in a room full of things you once dreamed of. The car in your driveway, the job you worked so hard to get, the relationships you've built. They were once your goals, but now you barely notice them. Why? Because you're too busy thinking about what's next, what's missing. This is the curse of the modern world, never enough. The problem isn't wanting more. Aspiration can be a beautiful thing. The problem is that when you're always chasing what you don't have, you never allow yourself to enjoy what you already do. It's a hamster wheel, an endless pursuit of something that will never truly fulfill you. The solution? Gratitude. And no, I'm not talking about some fluffy, be thankful for the little things advice. I'm talking about the real, intentional act of focusing your energy on what's right in front of you. It's waking up each day and reminding yourself of the things you've already achieved, the people who love you, the opportunities that are within your grasp. When you focus on what you do have, you stop living in a constant state of lack. You start seeing life as abundant, as something to be enjoyed now, not in some distant future when you finally checked all the boxes. Mistake number 3, overcomplicating life. We're living in a time when everything feels like it needs to be bigger, faster, better. We chase complex solutions, thinking that the more elaborate our lives, the more successful we'll be. But here's the truth. The more complicated you make your life, the more weighed down you become. Take a moment and ask yourself, are you overwhelmed? Do you feel like life is moving at a pace you can't keep up with? That's because you've bought into the lie that more complexity equals more happiness. The reality is, happiness thrives in simplicity. When you strip away the unnecessary distractions, the clutter, both mental and physical, you create space for what truly matters. Simplifying your life doesn't mean giving up ambition or drive. It means focusing only on what serves your purpose, your values, your happiness. Every decision, every item, every commitment should pass through this filter. Does this add meaning to my life? If the answer is no, let it go. Let me tell you a story. This is David. For years, he was chasing success. High-paying job, luxury car, perfect house. He was the picture of success, but inside, he was miserable. Every day felt like a grind. Every accomplishment felt hollow. Why? Because David was making all the mistakes we just talked about. He was living someone else's life, focusing on what he didn't have, and complicating everything with unnecessary stress. Then one day, David did something bold. He stepped off the treadmill. He quit his high-stress job, downsized his life, and reconnected with what truly made him happy. Spending time with family, creating art, and living with intention. Now, he wakes up every day with a sense of peace that he never thought was possible. David's story isn't unique. So many people spend their lives chasing the wrong things, only to realize, sometimes too late, that happiness was there all along, hidden behind the clutter, the noise, the distractions. The impact of these mistakes. Now think about your own life. How much time have you wasted trying to be someone else, comparing yourself to what you don't have, or overcomplicating your path to happiness? The scary part is, these mistakes don't just steal your happiness in the moment. They have a lasting impact. They shape your relationships, your career, your health, your entire life. But wait, there's another mistake that often hides in plain sight. It's so sneaky, you might not even realize it's controlling your every move. Mistake number 4, the fear of change. We all know that feeling, the pit in your stomach when you're faced with the unknown. That voice in your head saying, what if it doesn't work out? What if I fail? What if people judge me? That's fear, and it's the silent saboteur that keeps you stuck. Here's the truth about fear. It's not there to protect you. It's there to limit you. Every time you avoid change because you're scared, you reinforce the walls of your comfort zone. And the longer you stay in that zone, the smaller your world becomes. The opportunities you miss, the growth you never experience, all because you were too afraid to take the leap. But here's the thing, change isn't something to fear. It's the path to growth. The most successful, the most fulfilled people in life aren't the ones who never fail. They're the ones who take risks, who embrace uncertainty, and who understand that without change, there is no progress. The question is, are you going to let fear keep you stagnant? Or are you going to push through and discover what's waiting for you on the other side? Because I promise you, everything you want is just beyond that fear. Now, here's something that might surprise you. These mistakes don't just affect you in the moment. They compound. They build up over time, becoming bigger and more entrenched in your life. At first, it's subtle. You start by trying to impress others, by focusing on what you don't have, or by overcomplicating your life. But after years of living this way, you find yourself completely disconnected from the person you truly are, overwhelmed by the weight of your own choices. It's like carrying a backpack filled with small stones. Each mistake adds another stone, and at first, you barely notice the weight. But after a while, the burden becomes so heavy that it starts to slow you down. You become tired, frustrated, and stuck. And the worst part? You might not even realize it's happening until it feels too late. But here's the good news. It's never too late. You can always stop, take a breath, and make a conscious decision to put down that weight. The power to change your life, to stop making these mistakes, is always in your hands. It doesn't matter how long you've been carrying the burden. What matters is that you decide, right here and right now, that you're done with it. The science behind happiness. Why these mistakes hurt. You might be wondering, why do these mistakes hurt us so much? Why do they have such a profound effect on our happiness? Well, science has the answer. You see, the human brain is wired for happiness in a very specific way. We're designed to thrive on connection, authenticity, simplicity, and purpose. When we make choices that go against these core principles, our brains start to rebel. For example, when you compare yourself to others or chase external validation, your brain releases cortisol, the stress hormone. Over time, elevated cortisol levels make you feel anxious, overwhelmed, and disconnected. It's the same when you complicate your life or avoid change. The more you resist what your brain naturally craves, the harder it becomes to find happiness. On the flip side, when you align your choices with what truly makes you happy, when you focus on gratitude, authenticity, and connection, your brain releases dopamine and serotonin, the feel-good chemicals. These neurotransmitters boost your mood, reduce stress, and help you feel more fulfilled. So, the next time you're tempted to fall into one of these common mistakes, remember, it's not just about your emotional well-being. It's about how your brain is wired to function at its best. Story of a historical figure, learning from greatness. Let's take a look at a real-life example of someone who mastered the art of avoiding these mistakes. Take Steve Jobs, for instance. Early in his life, Jobs was known for being rebellious, for challenging the status quo, and for following his own path. He never tried to be someone he wasn't. In fact, he rejected societal norms and instead created something the world had never seen before: Apple. He didn't focus on what he didn't have or chase after trends. Instead, he simplified. He focused on creating products that were minimalist, intuitive, and groundbreaking. He didn't try to do it all. He focused on doing a few things extremely well. And when faced with massive setbacks, he didn't run from change. He embraced it, knowing that every failure was an opportunity to learn and grow. So what's the lesson here? Success, and more importantly, happiness, doesn't come from living by other people's rules. It comes from living authentically, staying focused on what truly matters, and embracing the changes that life throws at you. Actionable steps, what you can do today to avoid these mistakes. All right, now let's get practical. It's one thing to recognize these mistakes, but it's another to actively avoid them. So, here are some actionable steps you can start taking today to live a happier, more fulfilling life. 1. Stop seeking approval from others. This week, make a decision based purely on what you want, not on what others expect of you. It could be something small, like wearing the outfit that makes you feel good, or something bigger, like pursuing a dream you've been too scared to follow. 2. Practice gratitude. Every morning, write down 3 things you're grateful for. They don't have to be big or life-changing. The more you focus on what you already have, the more content you'll feel. 3. Simplify your life. Take one area of your life, your work, your relationships, your home, and remove the clutter. Cut out unnecessary commitments, declutter your space, or focus on one meaningful goal instead of 10 scattered ones. 3+1. Embrace change. Think about one area of your life where you're avoiding change. It could be your job, your relationships, or even your mindset. Take one small step toward embracing that change, even if it scares you. These aren't just theoretical ideas. They're practical, proven strategies that can help you avoid the mistakes we've talked about. And remember, happiness isn't something you wait for, it's something you create. The ripple effect. How avoiding these mistakes impacts others. Happiness is like a ripple in a pond. When you choose to live in alignment with your true self, when you focus on what really matters instead of getting caught up in the distractions, you create a ripple effect. Your positivity, your confidence, your inner peace, it spreads. Your family feels it, your friends notice it, even strangers can sense it. And that's the beauty of avoiding these life mistakes. It's not just about your own happiness. It's about the people you touch along the way. Your choices have the power to uplift others, to inspire them to make changes in their own lives. In a world that often feels disconnected and chaotic, imagine the impact you could have by simply being the best version of yourself. So here's the question I want you to ask yourself. What kind of ripple do you want to create? Will you keep falling into the traps of seeking validation, complicating your life and fearing change? Or will you break free, embrace simplicity, and live a life that's truly yours? Life is short, and happiness isn't something you stumble upon. It's something you build, one choice at a time. And every day, you have the opportunity to make those choices, to avoid the mistakes that rob you of your peace, and to embrace the things that bring you joy. You don't need permission from anyone. You just need to start. The truth is, happiness isn't as elusive as it seems. It's within your reach, but only if you're willing to stop living for others, to stop complicating your path, and to embrace the changes that lead to growth. The time to start is now. Make the decision today to avoid these mistakes, and you'll find yourself not only happier, but more fulfilled in ways you never thought possible. Because when you live life on your terms, when you choose to focus on what truly matters, happiness isn't a distant dream, it's your reality. Thank you for watching. If this video inspired you, share it with someone who might need a reminder that happiness is within their control. And remember, life is too precious to waste on the wrong things. Avoid these mistakes and live the life you were meant to live. See you in the next video.